Here is the next question. So circular array loop. So we are given an array and we have to find whether there's a loop in that or not. And to find the loop, what we have to do is take any index, suppose 0th index. So after this, the next number that we can traverse to is 2 indexes ahead of this. So like if this is 0, now we can go next to this index. Similarly, when we are here, the next index we can visit is the current index plus the value that is given here, which is essentially the next one. And same way we can move forward, like here. Once we are crossing the last boundary, we can circle back to the start. That's what the circular array means, right? And suppose in 1 and 2, we are back to the starting position, right? So this means that we have found a loop in the circular array. Now, there are a couple of conditions, a couple of scenarios that they have given to find a loop. One is, if you have started moving in the positive direction or right direction, all the elements in this cycle should be positive to find out the entire circle, right? So if I start with 2, if I then go to 1, then 2 and 2, you see everything is moving towards right. So this will form a valid loop. Let's take this one as example, right? So I start with the first element. Now -2 means I have to move from the left direction in 2 steps. So I'll go here and now here. Again, I go to -2. There are 2 more steps to take. I'll go 1 and 2. Now here, I have to move to the right direction. So my entire path that was here, which was essentially counterclockwise till now turns into clockwise connection. So even if we have reached in this step, we cannot go forward. So this will not form a valid cycle, even if it ends in 2 in future, right? And the third condition is this one. If you start from a cycle or start from an element 2 and you take 2 steps and you reach that element back, it's not a valid cycle. So essentially a cycle involving only one element or a self loop is not considered a circular cycle for the problem statement. Is the problem clear? Is it clear or any confusion on the conditions?
Can we go through the example with the like how it is creating, because I am little confused about this.
Okay, so let's take an example. 3, 1 and 2. I'll take the simple, okay? Just the positive ones.
Yeah.
Now this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2. So if we start from the 0th index, so I can start from node index 0. The next step that I can go is 0th index plus 3 values, right? Now there are total 3 elements in that. So essentially what I'll do is I'll reach back to the 0 element, right? I'll take first step here, second step here, and third will be loop back to this one. Does this make sense?
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So there are 3 steps to be taken. 3 steps. And if those steps are going out of the right boundary, we have to start from here. Or if they are going vice versa for negative movements. So after this 3 steps, we can reach back to 3, right? Or essentially 0th index. Now, given that we can loop here in between infinitely, and there's only one element involved, this is not a valid loop for the problem statement, right? Now let's go to the next element, which is 1. So we'll start in index 1 and we have to take 1 step, right? So with 1 step, we'll reach index 2. Now we have an option to move 2 steps. Now if we start from this one and we take 2 steps, for the first step, we are going out of the right boundary. So we'll start from here. So first step is here and the second step is here, right? So essentially in 2 steps, we are moving back to the original position. right? Now you see there are two elements involved in this cycle. So for the case of the problem, this is a valid set, and this array will form a circular loop.
Plus also the direction of the loop is maintained, right? That we are going forward all the time.
Right, so we are going forward. That's why I took the only positive numbers. We'll take the negative and combinations also. Till now, is it okay? We can take an example which kind of mixes both. So let me clear this one. And let's take an example of 2 minus 1 minus 2 3 and 2. So let's suppose I start from here. The next step I'll go is this one, right? So I'm going forward, that is a positive direction, and suddenly I reach an element which is negative. So I cannot move forward in this direction. There's no way forward to get a cycle, right? Same goes for this one. If I start this one, there's no way to go forward. Okay, and for every element that we find here, there's no way to go forward, right? So all the elements, even though they have positive direction, they are at some point in time, they have opposite direction coming in between, right? If you move there, next time you'll again face this element, right? And you'll not be able to move forward. So let's take an example of all negative numbers. So we have -1, -2, -3, and -4. Okay. Now for this one, -1 means I'm moving one direction in the counterclockwise direction. So after this one, I'll reach here. Right. Now I go to -4. -4 means 4 directions, 4 movements in the counterclockwise direction, which will is 1, 2, 3, and I'll reach back here. Right. And once I'm here, it will always keep looping again and again back. Now let's start with the other one. The same will follow. I'll be at -2. Then I reach -4, and from -4 we know already it's not going to go move forward. Same for -3. Right? So any confusion in the problem now? No. Any yes, no. Is it clear? Still confusing? Hello, am I audible, guys?
Yes, so for like, maybe add a happy case for minus to add an element between -3 to 4, which is positive, maybe.
Sorry, Roger, your voice is a bit cracking. Could you repeat again?
Yeah, can you add a number between -3 to -4, some positive number?
Okay.
And then, like, most likely this is a valid loop. So that will give a happy path for negative case.
All right, let's stimulate this one. So we have -1, -2, -3, 2, and -4, right? So from -1 we'll go to -4. Now from -4 we'll go to -2, and from -2 we'll go back to -4, right? So now you see there's a loop created between -1, -2, and -4.
We will go from -4 to directly -1, right? In second step.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Did I skip first? Yeah. From here and then -4. Yes. I had an example. Just let me find it. I was trying some random things.
So this was a happy case for like negative S. It's a valid loop because element is of more than one length, and the direction is always the same. So we will say yes, we have a solution, right?
Seems like I've lost the problem. Add a case created for this test case.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Hello. Okay. There's any approach for this? Any solutions? Any ideas? I think Roger already gave a hint in the previous problem for this one.
Hello, Puneet.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, so I had one question that in it there is a constraint that the minimum length should be 1. So technically it shouldn't be a self loop. Otherwise, all the other loops would be considered a happy solution
Correct.
if it is in the same directions, no?
Right. So a loop of just one element is not a valid loop.
Is not a valid loop. Otherwise, it's a valid loop if there were 2 elements involved, no?
That's correct.
In the same direction, either clockwise or anti-clockwise.
That's correct. So the direction is a a kind of superset of the constraints. It has to be there, and among that's a next level constraint is that it should not be a single element.
It should not be a single element. Okay, cool.
Any ideas? Right? Can we relate this to the easy problem that we just did? Any similarities in that?
There we were storing like if we have seen that particular number, then it's a cycle. Here we can say that if we have seen that particular index again, then there is a cycle. But how should we reach that point?
Right. And how can we traverse those indexes? Like, let's say we are at index 0, and how will we decide what's the next position?
Based on the value of that particular index.
Correct. So we know how to traverse,
Yeah.
and we know how to get the element, whether it's in a cycle or not.
But we need to make not a negative one.
Right. That's the different part from easy one. That's what makes it a medium one.
Yeah.
So how would we, like, if we start from -1, let's say we are going to -4 and move ahead. So in our, how would we identify where to stop?
It's like we need to go, we have to start from the back or something, like one place before that number. For example, if we are starting from -1, then we should start, if there is no number before that, we need to traverse the length -1.
Right.
And then going on, and if the number is there, then we'll be reversing back. It's a cycle. Like if any number is not before that, and still we need to go, which is in the case of -2, we have to go back for 2 numbers. Then there will be a case, then we need to traverse length -1 again, like backwards.
Okay. Let's take this example. So we have -1, right? And then we are going to -4, right? That's what you are saying.
Yeah.
And after this, where will we go?
again
Let's
back.
assume this is not minus 4. It's suppose, just for sake of understanding your problem, it's minus 2. Right? So after this, where will we go?
We need to go back of like
2 steps. This is essentially 3.
-3. Yeah.
Right? Now let's assume this is not minus 2, this is minus 1. What will happen next?
It will go to 2.
And from there,
It will has to go again forward, which is like -1
in that,
and
right?
then minus, and
We have
then this,
formed a loop, right? But you violated one of the conditions of the problem. Once you are going counterclockwise, you cannot go clockwise. You cannot change your direction,
Oh, okay.
right? So
Okay.
this direction is not a valid one to find a cycle.
okay.
So now based on this, can you tell me what is your stopping condition to find a loop?
Stop.
So we discussed, if we want to find a loop, if there is a loop, it will continue and come here. But what if there's no loop? It's going somewhere. So you need some stopping condition. You need to stop somewhere. Otherwise your program will go into infinite loop.
Can I propose a solution?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So we can basically build up a dictionary with all the elements of this, and we can start with the first index, I guess.
Let's build up.
And
So
yeah,
let's
and
say we have -1, -2, -3, 2, and -4.
-2, yeah, 4. And starting at -1,
Mm-hmm.
we can just note down all the indexes we travel. All the
Right. So
indexes.
let's map it. We have 0th index, -1 will take us to 4 index.
Yeah, fourth index.
And for -2 will also take us to 4th index. This will also take us to 4th index. 2, 1 will take us to 0th index, and -1 will take us to 0th index, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, we can do this
Okay.
for a particular. We can do this for a particular key. Once, and if we found, we'll return it. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next index, next key.
Okay. So you're saying if we have 4, and then next time we are again finding 4.
Yeah, no. We'll do the whole looping system for the key -1, for key as index 0.
So you're saying let's take this key, right?
Yeah. This thing only,
And then what we'll do is we'll go to
we'll
4,
find a possible loop. Yeah, we'll find a possible loop in this.
and then we'll go to 4. We'll try to find 0, right? It will take us there, and it will be a loop. That's what you're trying to say.
No. Technically, I'll just explain. Yeah. So
Do you want to share your screen? That will be easier.
I'm on mobile phone right now. So,
Go ahead, no problem.
yeah. So yeah, basically -1, and we'll be going at the fourth index because it will be taking us to fourth index. Fourth index, and then from at fourth index, we'll be again going to minus the 0th index.
Now let's say we are here.
Yeah. So and we'll be calculating the sum of the values present over there, and we'll be calculating the sum. If the sum goes beyond, let's say the sum was either -1 and -4, and if the sum goes in other direction, let's say if it's positive, and we'll be comparing both the sums of the previous and the current one.
So we
Trying
had
to-
-1 here. We had -4 here. Now when we are here, it will be -5, right?
Yeah, -5 supposedly. -5, and if we found the same in the if we found the same index in the particular values of a particular key, then we'll be sure that the loop is being created, a valid solution is being created.
Right.
Is it something in this regard, I guess I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah. So I think the graph that you have, this dictionary you have created is similar to a graph, right? So where each element, index element, is related to another element, which is essentially another index array with some value of this direction. It's a function defining this direction, right?
Yes.
Right. Can we now relate this one to something which Roger had earlier explained? Your approach is fine. I'm not arguing your approach. I'm just trying to build that intuition to something which we already know and how to map it to that one.
Okay, then we can just find. We can just check in the visited nodes, and if the visited node is found, and we can just record the visited nodes. And the visited node, if a visited node is again found, then we can just say that the loop is complete and a solution is perfect.
Okay. So coming back to your approach, this one, how would we decide, if we have to go and doing this path, how would we decide when to stop? Again, the original condition of either going in an infinite loop or finding a cycle, right?
Yes.
Where would we define?
Yeah. So I was just saying, supposedly we take the 0th index key, that is -1, and we make a list of it at the particular of the values, corresponding values. So the value come over it, let's say -1, so that the index would come over as 4. And
okay.
we would give a current sum and the previous sum. We would take 2 variables.
Okay.
Yeah, and while sum, and we'll just sum it up in the previous sum. Previous sum would be -1 if we had the first index, and then it would be -5.
That's correct.
Yeah. If the sum is supposedly in the next iteration, sum goes on, let's say 2 plus 2, it comes up plus 2. Then the sum would be -3.
Correct.
And the absolute value of what the previous and the current would be less. So then we can just deduce and say that the loop has been changed. The direction has been changed.
Correct. So essentially what we're doing, if we start in one direction,
yes,
we are trying to sum up all the values, and any point in time we see there's a change or direction of the value changes, which will essentially be, if we are going negative, the value will increase, and if we're going positive, your value will decrease. So that's the time when you cannot move forward. So that's your condition to terminate this infinite loop, right?
Yes.
And we already know what is the way to check a loop, right?
Yeah. And we'll be when we'll be taking the next index, we'll be just checking in the previous list, in the list itself, that is if that index is present or not. And if both our conditions meet, then we'll say that a loop is being found.
Correct. So we can use storage like hash map or something like that to find out whether we have already visited that node to find the cycle.
Yeah, I guess.
Now, in the question itself, I think there's a follow-up. So if we can do it in n time complexity and constant space complexity.
Okay.
So from time complexity, we already know we're already doing it, I think n square, right?
Yes.
So can we reduce it to n? First of all, can we reduce it to n with some space?
And with the space big of n, let's say space something.
Right. Space with some space complexity.
Okay.
So right now what you are doing is essentially you are taking a path and traversing it using this hash map, right?
Yes.
You're taking the entire hash map, which is essentially, if there are multiple, it's a completely mixed graph. It will pass through the same path again and again, right?
Yeah, it will pass through the same iterations again and again. Yeah.
Can we optimize that part? So can we assume anything about a path which we have already traversed and it is not taking you to the destination?
we can path which we have already taken and it's not
So
taken to the
suppose we have a simple graph over here, right?
yes.
And we have some connections, right? And there's
Yes.
another one. Now, we have already visited this path, right? And your destination is suppose here.
Yes.
We already know this path we have already traversed and it's not going to take us to a destination.
Yes.
Now there's a path from here, which is connecting to this one,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
So
yes.
what will happen if from this node we reach this one? Can we
Yeah,
ever reach our destination?
No, no, no. So we can just keep a list of overall indexes we have visited and which is not giving us a solution, which has not given us a solution.
Okay.
And if we can just check it if going to the new loop, a new node, I guess, in the graph.
Right. So then how will it reduce your complexity to of n?
Yeah, we'll have again have to check. Yeah, it will be again answer only.
No, it will be n, but I'm just asking how. So what you're saying is correct.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
keep- We'll keep a track of nodes which we already visited and not taking us to the final destination or the desired outcome.
Mhm.
But how is it n, not an n square?
Mm.
I think we are running short of time for the hard one.
Yeah. You can continue. I'm not able to come up with a solution. So I guess, no.
No, anyone has any other ideas? Anyone, guys? Okay, so I'll just give overview of for brief 2 minutes overview of what Roger explained in the last problem and how we can relate it to this one, right? So let's say we have this numbers. Same way. So every number will get outputted to some location, right? And it will be only one output location. So let's assume this is this, and there's a reverse loop, and suppose there's a reverse loop, and there's a reverse loop, right? Now for every position we know there's a one deterministic next location, right? That's correct.
Yes.
And our aim is to find the loop. Let's take it and relate it to the last problem. Assume this is 88 and the direction is defined by 8 squared plus 8 squared. Right? Now assuming here, this one is defined by whatever is the index plus the value. So we can follow the same fast and slow pointer approach. Our two conditions, one is to stop the infinite loop. That will be when the direction changes. And the other is when fast is equal to slow, which is when we have found the loop. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And what we can do is we can do this for each of the nodes, starting from each node. And the first index where we have found a loop, we can stop and just return to. Right? Now the optimization on top of it is, as we discussed, like once we have a path traversed and it is not giving us a loop, we can nullify or set all of them to 0. And during any path, when we reach those nodes which are 0, we know this is not going to take us to a destination. So we can stop there, and whatever has been in the path till that point also, they will also become nullified. Right?
Right.
So essentially what we're doing is calling them visited. Once we have reached a destination, or we have passed those and we have not reached destination. and using DFS, normal DFS traversal or any other traversal, we can keep a track of what has been visited and what we have to visit again. Right. So essentially what will happen is each node will be visited only once.
Okay.
Once during the first traversal, and the second time, if we ever come to that location, we'll not move forward.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So coming to the last problem for today.
I have a question for this.
Sure.
You said that when we'll stop when direction changes.
Right.
So it will be like we'll stop for the whole program, or it's like we'll jump to
for the current cycle that we are trying to find, or current loop that we are trying to find, it's not any worth to go forward now. So we'll stop the current cycle. But it may happen that other element which has not been visited is the source of a cycle. So as I showed earlier, like this one, and then there is this one. So this is your source and this is your destination. So if you go via this path, it's not going to yield any results. But there may be another one, suppose this one. So this will yield your proper result.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.